The Tsar had only one son, and the son used to suffer from a disease for which there was no cure. The disease was that if he would get any wound, the wound would not heal and the blood would start oozing out of his body and not stop. His life was always in danger. A small wound, and a child is a child. Playing, he would fall, and a small wound, and little blood would come, and then it was impossible to prevent the blood. That was the problem. And when too much blood would go out, the child would become unconscious, would fall into a coma, and there was no medicine, and there was no cure. And then came Rasputin, and he simply touched him, and the blood stopped. He would simply touch the child, and he would become conscious. And that was the Tsar's only child. Now Rasputin became a must. They would even allow him to go far away from Moscow, from the capital, because it was dangerous if he could not come in time. So his presence had to be there in that palace. The Tsarina became too impressed. Then the Tsar became too impressed. Then the whole court, and he started ordering. He became the real emperor, and his orders had to be listened to. Otherwise, he used to be threatened, I will go. He used to threaten, I will go, and the life of the child was in danger. The doctors had said he has to be kept here, otherwise, we cannot help at all. Any moment, the child can die. But he forgot his prayers, he forgot his own inner discipline. He created many difficulties for others, created much difficulty for himself. In fact, if someday the real history will be written, then he was the cause for the Russian Revolution, not Lenin, not Stalin, not Trotsky. He was the cause. He created such a ridiculous state that the people rebelled. The revolution came because of Rasputin, and because of Rasputin, Russia had suffered for almost half a century. The whole of Russia has become a great prison. All freedom lost. Millions of people have been killed. And if you look deep down, you will find Rasputin at the beginning of this whole communist myth, the myth of revolution, the myth of the dictatorship of the proletariat. Nobody talks about him, but he was the provocation. His presence was so ugly, so repressive, so oppressive, and that not only he was killed, the Tsar and the Tsarine and the child were also killed, and the whole empire disappeared into disorder and chaos. Lietz says it gets him into difficulties. The only motive of an innkeeper is to sell his rice and soup and increase his earnings. His profits are meager, and the considerations which sway him have little weight. If men with so little to gain from me value me so highly as a customer, will it not be even worse with the lord of 10,000 chariots who has worn out his body and drained his knowledge in state affairs? The prince of Chikai will appoint me to some office and insist that I will fill it efficiently. This is what alarmed me. Really a man of understanding. He says if I go to the capital and the king comes to know about me, I am bound to be in trouble. He will appoint me. He may he may make me a prime minister, a minister. He will certainly get hold of me. If ordinarily people like an innkeeper who has nothing much to gain from me become so much impressed, then what about the great king, the lord of 10,000 chariots, who has wasted his energy in state affairs, who has lost his soul in the world, who is really poor as far as the inner integrity is concerned? If I come in contact with him, he will immediately take hold of me He will say, "You come here, you serve the kingdom, you serve the state, and I will be in difficulty." That's why I became alarmed. Look at the beautiful understanding of Lietsu. He is still a disciple, but has great insight. One should avoid ambition, one should avoid any possibilities where one can get into unnecessary troubles.